Hi, in this second video, part 2, we're going to deal with how to work with files and folders in your in your EVH website, where you have the ability through the online content management system to create folder structures, to upload files. You do not have to link them publicly so that someone comes to, say, the school's address / your teacher's site and clicks on a link to get that file. You just copy the link information into a PowerSchool assignment. So therefore, what you're hosting is private to your students and your parents and to administration only, and it's not necessary for it to be publicly accessible on the internet through the school's address / picking your teacher name. So that's the first model. The second model is for teachers who want a full website. We'll deal with the first model right now. So let's get logged into the site. Okay, so we only have one course added so far. We can add more, and I will just add another course just for the sake of reviewing that very quickly. So you can click courses, click add. I'm going to add CT 23104, which is really Comtech Communications Tech. I'm going to call it Comtech 2104/3104 because it is a linked to one credit course. Right now I'll put to be developed, TBD right here, and I'll fill that in later. So I'm just going to save that. So basically you can see I have two courses. Come back and edit that later, obviously. If I were going to work with PowerSchool with the content management system, what I'm really concerned about is a place to host files. I'm concerned with an easy ability to upload files and to link them to assignments within my PowerTeacher gradebook. So if you go into a PowerTeacher gradebook and you go to the assignments, you can see on certain assignments, for instance on this one here I just did today, video production, basically you will see that within the assignment code, it's going to be a little further down here, you'll see all this kind of stuff here. You don't have to understand the coding. This kind of thing here is a linked assignment. Now if this was a PDF file that I wanted to link to an assignment, let's say it's an English teacher and it's a worksheet or a PDF file, or a math teacher, it's a worksheet or a PDF file, or a PowerPoint explaining a lesson and a PDF file for a template to fill in or something of that nature, or a public exam test when I'm talking about it as a review sheet, whatever the case may be. You often have files that you want to host. Where are you going to put them to? Where are you going to put them on our school's web server? How are you going to do it? Through the content management system. You need no knowledge of programming or publishing. You just need your username and password to log in and do it. So we'll talk about how to link it up in PowerTeacher Gradebook a little later as a review. Let's take a look at how you're going to manage where those files go. That's called resources. Let's go to resources. I already have a folder here that I created earlier. I don't have a folder for the other course. So I'm at the top level. If you notice, I'm at admin/resources. Here it says resources. It says nothing above the word manage. If I were down into this folder, to show you that I'm down into this folder, you can notice it here, but there's a breadcrumb. Hansel and Gretel, breadcrumbs, tracing your trail. There's a breadcrumb along this menu bar here. It shows me that I'm down inside CT 23104 folder. I want to go up a level, I click root. Now notice I'm back to the top. There's no breadcrumb here. I'm just in resources, and this shows me a folder. Let's add a folder, not a file. Let's add a folder first. It's nice to add folders and manage your files instead of just whacking up a bunch of files and then having to look through them. So let's add a folder. I'm going to call this folder by my course name, and my course is RST 3205, and folder created. So let's go back to files, manage folders. You'll see the folder here. Now this folder, I can actually edit it, I can delete it, I can actually rename the folder. I can rename a folder and actually change the path to the folder, make it a subfolder or something else. I'll deal with that later. Let's go down inside the RST 3205 folder. So I click the folder, I notice I'm down inside of that folder from a navigation point of view. If I look up here, I can actually see it here. That's a little cryptic for some of you, but you can see on the breadcrumbs, we call that in navigation software. So we're down inside of this here, and I want to add a subfolder. If you want, fine, let's add one. Let's call this, I'll call this docs. I'll create folder, I'll add another one. Sorry, let's go back, I'm down into this folder. I add a folder inside of here. This one I'll call PDFs. I know docs and PDFs are much the same, but just for the sake of management. So I'm down inside of here. I can see I have docs and PDFs. Very good. If I decide that docs is a general folder and I don't really need it as part of RST 3205, and I say, well, why don't I have docs as a top level folder just like a course folder? I can rename it. I can rename the folder by just changing the spelling of the name of it, but I know that this folder here is meant to be part of, in this case here I can't name it to the root, but I can name it to, for instance, say it's meant to be part of PDFs. Okay, so I know I have a folder called PDFs, and if I do that and a backslash here, what I'm doing is I'm moving the folder docs from RST 3205 into PDFs, which is a subfolder of RST 3205. So moving it from the top level root of RST 3205 down into a subfolder that's at the same level. And so I put the path here. When I click rename, it says item renamed successfully. I go back to resources. I can see the PDFs as a folder. Docs is a subfolder. RST 3205 PDFs. Docs is down beneath. So that's how you'd rename or move folders from one place to another. And you can do the same thing with files. You wouldn't change the file name. You'd put the path to the subfolder before the file name. You can also navigate to the root by simply clicking this way. So if you're down inside a folder, didn't mean to do that. If you're down inside of RST 3205, down inside of PDFs, and you want to get right back up to the top level, click root. Root is top level. Okay. For the remainder of this short video, we'll look at managing files. So if we want to add a file to the Robotic Systems 3205 folder, let's navigate down into the folder, and we want to upload a PowerPoint file that relates to a lesson. Okay, I'm going to add file, choose file. When I do, I get a pop-up box that points at my local computer, and you probably won't be able to do this on a tablet, but you can do it on a notebook or a computer. And in my case, I'm just going to go to a folder that I know I have here, and I have a subfolder here called Robotics Systems 3205 somewhere. I do. I really do. There is a folder there. Yes. And I have a Robotics Overview or Unit 1 assignment or Unit 1 PowerPoint here. I'm going to pop up this PowerPoint. That's a robotics PowerPoint that I'm going to link later on. Or I want to link it to PowerSchool, to assignment. That's what we'll deal with first. So I say Robotics Overview, point at the file, click Open, Upload File, and it says it's fine. So I click Manage, go back. I'll notice that in RST 3205 folder, I have a file called robotics.pptx. Now, you can manage that, and we'll come back to that a little later. We can rename that, and see that if I rename it, I should be careful. I don't want to rename and change the file extension name to .pptx. So when students download that file, that marks it as a PowerPoint file. But I could change the name if I'm not satisfied with it. Let's just do that. Let's rename it to, I'll just take out the space and put an underscore there. Why? Most web links are better off without spaces in the names of files. So I'll rename it. Item renamed successfully, and I click to go back to the root, and I can see that that file is there. It does have an underscore in the name. Now, what we're going to do next, very quickly, is we're going to just basically make that file a part of a PowerSchool assignment. So let's go back to PowerSchool Gradebook. Let's go to the course, and I'm going to make a new assignment, even though I probably already have something like that there. I'm going to say Robotics Overview, assignment, and I'm going to put it as a a project or an in-class assignment. Give it a time period, give it a rank, give it a date, and just for the sake of brevity, I'm not going to put any details here. I'm just going to say watch the file, read through the following PowerPoint. And okay, so I made a few changes to what I want the assignment in PowerSchool to say, And I said, review the following PowerPoint that we discussed in class and answer the following questions handed out in class as well. I listed a couple of questions. Now what I'd like to have is I'd like to have this PPT, or PowerPoint. I'll actually break that down into more detail. I'd like to have this space right here to be a link to the PowerPoint that we watched in class for those who missed class and need to review. So let's take a look at how we would do that. Well, first of all, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to actually look at this link here. If I touch the file, right click and say copy link address, okay, in Chrome it's copy link address. It's a little different in Explorer, but it's the same thing, copy address. And basically then come back to my PowerSchool. I can come over here and I want this link to go here. Click this plus link, right click here, or Control V, paste the URL. Notice the path to this file, school's address /file /teacher name /folder /name of the actual file. And I want this to be robotics overview. And I'll say PowerPoint, PPT. Click OK. Now, code went in here. This is code. You don't have to know it. You don't have to care about it. You don't have to read it. You don't have to fix it. But it will, when you save this and you go back to PowerSchool, you know that this is a linked assignment. Students can get access. Where's the file coming from? It's coming from your content online. You can manage this from home, manage it from your classroom. It really doesn't matter where you are. But that's how you would basically upload a file to a folder, manage a folder, and then also link that file to PowerSchool. We've been a little over 10 minutes, but we'll keep everything to 10 minutes. So before we go further with courses and more detailed file management and stuff, we'll move on to video number 3.